We watched a movie, didn't we? Not together, because we're not allowed because COVID.
I'm glad you underscored that with COVID as if there was some other reason.
Yeah,
We're not allowed.
yeah, we're not allowed
We're
because
not allowed in cinemas together.
no, not anymore. Not after that
That
last
one
time
time. What?
where we were nude from the waist down.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, stop. What? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you go to see Terminator 2 in 3D, you have to be nude like he is in the Terminator. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Just put on your West Austrian accent and act out the Terminator in 3D. No, but yeah, we watched
Your clothes.
your clothes.
You do a good
Arnie. I do a mediocre Arnie.
You do a mediocre Arnie.
Arnie's not worried. Like he's not like, oh, he's going to take me job.
You do an acceptable Arnie.
Yeah.
Come on.
But so yeah, we watched Tucker and Dale versus. I call it Tucker versus Dale versus Evil all the time, and I don't know why. Because
I keep calling it Tucker and Dale versus the world, like Scott Pilgrim. I keep messing up. I'm just like, Tucker and Dale versus the world. Where he's like chinning the ex girlfriend. It's like, no, that's not the film at all.
I've never seen that Scott Pilgrim, so I don't know what you're talking about. But
all right, well, we'll do that for a future episode because I can't believe you haven't seen that film.
Nah, I haven't. Genuinely haven't. I know people love it, and there's a game coming out, I think, or a remaster.
Yeah, so they're remastering the game. I think it came out for the 360. It's like a 16-bit side-scrolling beat 'em up, which is really good, and it's a good testament to the original comic. And
all right,
obviously fans of the film enjoy it all.
So, yeah. Oh, I'll have to check it.
Getting in on that cash grab, why not?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we'll watch the movie. So we're going to do a review. Did you get it? Because we've reviewed it. So don't sue anybody. So
I want this to be the intro every time you go. Together, it's a review because we've rewatched it. Don't sue us. That's gotta be it from on.
That's it. That is definitely going to be it. You know what?
Just think of a way for you to thumb in your acceptable Arnie impression. I'll have to just review Arnie films from now on.
Definitely that. I've probably seen them all. To be fair. So yeah, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. We're going to discuss the film, no spoilers, and then we're going to talk about spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, even though it's 10 years old now, go watch it and then come back and listen to this review. So yeah, do you want to go?
So Tucker and Dale versus Evil is a film about two guys, Tucker and Dale, who on appearance alone look like a casual hillbilly types.
Yes.
And it's kind of like an homage to slasher flicks, but they're spinning the narrative on its head.
Yes.
So it's basically a group of teenagers are going on a camping trip. And what fell off your can? What was
It was the metal thing. I had flipped it, and it didn't go in the can, so it just hit us in the face.
I just love every episode. There's something where you're just like smooth, so smooth.
Idiot, what I am. So yeah, movies.
Yeah, so Tucker and Dale. So obviously it's spinning on its head. So the two hillbillies, they're going to their new holiday home. And this group of kids misinterpret them as psychopath serial killer hillbillies. And hilarity kind of ensues from there. It's quite an old film, isn't it? It's about 10 years old.
Yeah, it is, yeah. It's really good. I mean, obviously we'll keep it light for spoilers now, but when the film first opened, I didn't understand what it was. I like Alan Tudyk. I think he's an underrated gem. And I thought, well, I'll watch this and see what it is. And I genuinely went in thinking what you were supposed to think at first. And then obviously, like you said, it flips it on its head. And from there, like you say, chaos ensues, and it's funny, and it's quite clever. And I think the film as a whole is quite underrated because every time I mention it to somebody, it's like, oh, well, I've never heard of that. I watched it with Casey, She's
I think
16.
it was recommended to us. I think it was one of those films
Yeah,
I hadn't heard of myself
yeah.
originally, and someone's like, "You have to watch this." And
Uh, I think it's probably the same. I mean, like I like Alan Tudyk's voice work and stuff like that, and I didn't
yeah,
watch it in 2010, and I remember mentioning it to somebody a few years back, and they said, "Oh, you should watch this movie," and I watched it. I was like, "It's genuinely good." So I thought, well, I'll watch it with Casey and see what she thinks, and
yeah,
she laughed the whole way through. She enjoyed the whole ride, and it was good to see it from her perspective as well. Um,
yeah.
and it's just stupid fun. And I mean, a few years back, they discussed the potential of a sequel, and
All
like
right.
I think I would definitely be on board with that. I mean, I know obviously most times sequels aren't as good as the original, but
I think the thing that's beautiful about the premise is that actually would translate. So the idea is obviously that they're just being judged on their appearance.
mhm.
So they think that they're serial killers, but they're not. And then mild spoilers, I suppose, the kids start accidentally killing themselves
Yeah,
when so, and because they keep accidentally killing themselves, their friends think they're being killed by the hillbillies,
yeah, yeah.
and it happens in more and more ridiculous
It
scenarios.
is, it is. I mean, I
But I
think,
feel like because of that narrative, I do feel like you probably could respin it again, because they could just go visit somewhere else and once again be
yeah,
mistaken for,
yeah,
or they could flip it the other way where they go visit somewhere else and you think it's going to be them, but they think somebody else is a killer when they're not. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, again, like you said, it could be spun off in multiple ways. I would be down for it. I'm sure it was something along the lines of like they were both working in college or something, like American college, and it was that kind of thing again. Like they were getting the blame for all these murders, and it was obviously stupid kids being stupid kids.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, I think maybe now just full spoilers, because I mean you can't really talk about it
yeah.
without talking about
No,
it. You
you
know what I
can't
mean?
really
So
talk about
that's your spoiler warning if you haven't seen this 10-year-old movie. Um,
yeah, get
like
on it.
the intro of the film when it opens and it's them the teenagers listening to the music in the car and that
Yeah,
typical teenagers talking about
your
alcohol and
stereotypical
drugs. Yeah,
teenagers. Yeah,
you think, well, this is just your standard slasher movie, and I'm all for it. Do
yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I
yeah.
love a
Oh God,
slasher
yeah, yeah,
movie. The
yeah,
stupider the better. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm in for the
yeah.
long haul with any slasher. Um, so when you see Tucker and Dale and like Dale stood there with the thing, like
The
laughing.
scythe.
Yeah, the side laughing. I was like, well, obviously this is what's going to happen. They're going to something's going to happen. They're
Yeah,
going to get murdered, and then it like cuts from the teenagers to Tucker and Dale in the van, and he's talking about his holiday home, and they're going to get away and do some fishing
yeah.
and
And they're
shit.
just two
And I'm like,
two regular guys, really.
and they're just normal dudes. Like, and it, like you said, it flips that on its head, and then the more
Yeah,
bizarre deaths as the go. Like, you feel sorry for Tucker, and obviously Dale's like the idiot, isn't he? Like, but he's just like the
yeah,
lovable idiot, and Tucker is
yeah,
like the one who's, because he told Dale to talk to this girl,
yeah,
he's the one who's now being punished for that, because all the bad stuff happens to Tucker.
We have had a doozy of a day.
Dale gets away with a lot of stuff, like Tucker loses his cabin, Tucker loses his fingers, he gets beat up.
He gets beat up. He gets stung by bees. He gets cut.
I mean, and
how gross is it when he's been stung by bees and just like the boils on his face? That's
yeah,
like great work.
yeah, man,
The
it
visual
looked
effect.
he's like,
It's like actually disgusting.
it is. That's the thing. Like, I didn't, because it was so funny when I first watched it, and like Casey even said the same. My daughter, she said I didn't expect it to be as gross as it was.
Yeah,
Like where the kid like ran into the tree, like
yeah.
Casey actually jumped. She was like, "Oh my god!" Like she didn't expect that, because he's running with a chainsaw trying to get away from these bees, and so the kid's
Yeah, and
like
the kid
running.
thinks he's being chased, so the kid's running, and
Yeah.
then they kind of catch up alongside each other because he isn't actually chasing them. The kid's looking at him like, just like, what? Like, why aren't you trying to get us with the chainsaw sort of thing?
Yeah.
You don't expect it because it's such a fast shot, isn't it?
Yeah, it
And
is.
he just
It's
gets
cut so
impaled, and
well.
you're just like,
yeah.
and when they do the bee lands on the kid's nose, and the kid's like realizing, oh, he was running away from bees.
Yeah, the dawning realization. He's like, and then and then
It's
Tucker
great.
thinks they're a suicide cult, and they're all just killing themselves.
The kids have just come up into the woods to kill themselves.
Yeah.
It's great because it's like it's obviously they play on those tropes, and obviously I love the fact that obviously the kids are such stereotypical. The fact that the main lad is called Chad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? and that is what he is. He's a total Chad.
Yeah,
Isn't
he
he?
is
And,
like.
you have the bimbo, like there's the blonde bimbo who, even in the woods, is still wearing her heels and she always has a handbag on her shoulder. So she's running in fear, but just got a handbag on her shoulder at all times. Like,
Yeah, man, definitely. I mean, that because they're playing with those tropes, and they do it so well because in like Friday the 13th, they are like that, but it's more serious. But in this, you notice that because you've seen so many slasher movies, but because they're doing it this way, it's so funny. Like the guy who hates hillbillies turning out to be a hillbilly at the end. Like, ridiculous.
The big reveal is he is
the hillbilly.
What I love is just prior to that is when obviously they've had the explosion in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So the kid who turns out to be a hillbilly before he finds this out is horribly burnt on one side of his face.
Yeah.
And he's coming for them, and they get in the car to get away. And there's just, I just think it was such a, like, inspired writing when basically the kids crawl towards the car and Tucker's desperately winding the window up. You know what I mean? The kid's got a chainsaw and he's coming towards, he's half on fire, and that hasn't stopped him. And he just like wind the window up quickly.
Definitely.
Just little knots like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It's just the stupid ridiculousness of it that makes it so good. Like,
it shows you that the whole like paranoia that people have, though. Like, I think it's quite a very human thing, which works for it being so believable. Is that, like, at nighttime, I don't know about you, but sometimes, like, I'm a big bloke, and even I'll be like, is this guy following us down this alley when he's just taking the same shortcut I'm taking home? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's that whole thing. So, like, because you're just judging him on his appearance, or when you think of like Dale in particular's appearance, he just looks like a hipster now. I mean, obviously it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But he's just a guy wearing a checky shirt with a beard. He's just you wearing a checky shirt.
It is. It
genuinely, you know what I mean?
is.
And what I'm saying is you're scary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, seriously, people think that of me at first, like, glance. People are like, whoa, he's a big dude. Like, he's quite scary. And that's the furthest thing from the truth, because Claire,
scary dude.
Like, Claire says this is
not genuine.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not. Like, I'm the biggest wimp going. I mean, I'll fight if I have to, but I would rather not. Do you know what I mean? But like, Claire be like, that dude walked across the road because you walked in the street. I was like, no, he didn't. She's like, he did. I was like, how does he not know that I'm this big teddy bear? Do you know what I mean? Like, my driving instructor, he thought I had learned to drive so late because I had been to prison. Like, he said that a couple of months, and he was like, I thought you had been to prison. So, like, I get that.
I used to get it when I had my big beard, like back when I had a giant beard. Like, I remember when I met one colleague at a job, and just like, oh, you're nothing like I thought you'd be. And I was like, what do you mean? Just like, I just thought you'd be like a proper hard case. And I'm just like, no, just because I have a big beard. Yeah. And now I've shaved it off, and now I look like both Jay and Silent Bob. It's like, nobody's scared at all now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, but it is that thing of like, appearances can be so deceiving. Like, Tucker and Dale are these genuine nice dudes who just want to have a nice relaxing time in a holiday home, even though it is a hovel. Yeah. And it was like,
that's the thing as well, is how dumb they are. So they get to the obviously holiday home, and the house looks like the house from The Evil Dead.
It does, like.
And they get to it, and like, they're not noticing like any of the like they're not noticing how it would look to somebody else. Like, there's literally like teeth hanging from the ceiling and bones and stuff. Yeah. And they're just like, oh, he must have been an archaeologist. Like, it's like,
took us like, this place is a palace, and it's like holes in the ceiling and shit. Like,
wow. Yeah, it's an absolute mansion. Like, there was the clippings on the wall. There was the clippings, and it was all of the serial killers. And took us just staring at it, and he's just like, oh, a coupon.
Yeah, he's like, oh my god, it's like 50% off something. It's the only one he's noticed.
Love it.
Like, teens slaying in wooded area and that all over it, and it's like different things. So obviously the hillbillies lived in that before, like they were all arrested or killed or what have you. And then the only thing he sees is like, it cuts to all of them, and it just cuts to the coupon. He's like, oh my god, like, that's genuinely funny. The bit that's
so what was your favorite death? I have to know, what was your favorite death?
My favorite death is the wood chipper, because he's trying to pull him out, but it's after that when Dale goes, this dude's quite heavy for half a dude. It killed me the first time, it killed me, and it killed me again when I watched it, because obviously I've forgotten it. But like, the way his delivery, I'm pretty sure the camera's like behind him as well, so you don't even see him say it. It's just the way he says it. just brilliant.
I also love when the police officer shows up and he's still holding like one of the guy's legs, and he's like, "I'll just put down this leg." It's just like placing it on the floor.
Yeah, man, it's hilarious. Like they're trying to explain away to the police officer, and it obviously makes total sense because we, as the viewers, know that. But on the outside, from the police officer's perspective, it's totally nuts what they've said. Like there's dead kids everywhere, and and the police officer, like he's obviously thinking, well, they're insane. Like his first run in was like Dale was topless, and it looked like he was giving.
That was brilliant.
Yeah,
that was brilliant when he spills his drink in his lap and he's like, "Oh, I'll help you."
Yeah,
and then he gets caught and he just tears his shirt off, and this is when he's trying to act all cavalier with his shirt off, like, "Hey."
Yeah, man. It's a fantastic movie, and it is very, very underrated. It's one of those movies that I think you could just put on in the background where you're doing other things and still like enjoy it for what it is. You know what I mean? Like I'm one of those people who always has to have noise, so I've always got something playing in the background when I'm doing something, and that is one of those movies that you can do that, and you can just go back to it, and it's still funny. It's genuinely still funny. And I mean, I must have seen it like 10. Yeah, it is. And it's so underrated, and it's criminal that it is. And I think that's the same with a lot of Alan Tudyk's work. Yeah. Everything he does is I don't think I've seen anything of his that hasn't been great. Like he's getting a lot of accolades now with Harley Quinn because he's the Joker and that. Yeah. But before that, it was like he was Wash in what's it called? Firefly, another show I haven't seen. Yeah, that's it. And like he's been like at that level of fame until now. Do you know what I mean? But I think like he's like he plays the chicken in Moana. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
He's the chicken in Moana.
Chicken is iconic as well.
And like that's the type of he plays those kinds of roles. Like he was in Dodgeball as the pirate Pete, I think it was called. And I didn't even know that was him. Like until like a few years after. Yeah. That's good. But he is so iconic. And the guy who plays Dale as well, I think I've seen him in a few things. And he
what was it was the TV show he was in, wasn't it? Oh, I can't remember.
Reaper. He played Sock in that, and he was great in that role. And I didn't expect him to be like anything like he was as Dale, because obviously I'd seen Reaper first, so I was expecting that kind of character. And he was just this lovable oaf who really fancied that alley, and like every choice he made because of Tucker telling him to introduce himself, like Tucker like felt the consequence of every action he took. And I think that's another beautiful part of that movie, and it's well worth a watch. I definitely
I still think it stands as that, like because just at a glance, there's no way you'd ever believe that relationship between Dale and the girl. I can't remember the actress's name. Ali, I can't remember the actress's name. Like you would never believe that, but like it just always reminds us of I can't remember what comedian said it, but one comedian said it where he's just like, whenever I go and meet a girl, I'm just like, just give us 5 minutes. Let us talk to you first. Like, don't judge us on appearance. Let us talk to you. You like us if I talk to you.
Yeah, if you hear the words,
If I can just speak to you and you realize I'm not a total creep.
Yeah, well, I mean...
But then it kind of sounds kind of creepy saying it out loud.
Yeah, I suppose it does, yeah. Like, the way the movie ends as well, like, Dale gives the same advice to another hillbilly, and, like, it goes... the total opposite way. And he proper slaps her and carries her away. And like that's,
and he's dragging her away.
That's kind of what the movie could have been. Like Dale could have been like this psychopath, and that's what's great about it. Like it starts, he's a lovable character, and then at the end, this hillbilly is an actual psychopath because he slaps this woman and drags her away. And that's what the teenagers expected. Well, because of this Chad guy. And like the fact that the movie starts with the journalist, and she's going through like the that area where like the end is at the mill, and like that's the end of the movie, but it starts with him still being alive. Like I think that's great, and it does set up for a sequel. But I don't know if we'll ever get one now, because I mean, like as much as I would love it, I think at the same time, I think it's great as a standalone movie,
I think it's
I think it's one of those movies that you can watch whenever, but it's especially at Halloween, it's definitely a treat to watch when you're in that mode. Because like when I get to like Halloween, I love watching a scary film, but I also love watching like a funny scary film. So that's definitely
I mean,
one for Halloween.
although I absolutely have to say it's absolutely a hilarious film and a total chill film. It is like very viscerally brutal. Like the
Yeah,
gore is really
mhm.
like it's really quite graphic.
Yeah, man.
Like,
It is.
I mean, I'm
It's
down
a
for lots
shock.
of stuff.
Yeah. Like, but I mean, I'm not like one of those people who loves like the Saw movies because they're gross or anything. Do you know what I mean? Because I mean,
Yeah,
that's just what those are. It's like a torture porn thing, isn't
yeah,
it? But with this,
yeah,
it was such a shock. But also at the same time, I'll go back and watch it. But it's not because of like the gore. It's because of
yeah,
how fun it is. But the gore
yeah,
is so good. Like,
yeah,
you're shocked every time you see it. Like when he pulls the half a guy out the thing and his guts are hanging all over the place. You think, Christ, it's quite
yeah.
brutal. And I mean, like the first like bit of gore is like, you know, where the hillbilly scratches his neck with like the saw blade.
He's got a saw blade and
Yeah,
scrapes off the back of his
like,
neck.
oh, every time I'm like, oh, I can't watch that. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that is gross.
it's gross, but they do it so well because obviously the people involved in that movie love horror films, so
Yeah.
the wanted
Well,
to
it's
make.
brilliant because they've made a slasher film still, even though it subverts all the norms and
Yeah,
like
that's
what
it.
you'd expect, but they still did make a slasher film. You know what I mean?
And they defeated the final girl being Dale.
Yeah.
He defeated the slasher with chamomile tea. Do you know what I mean? Like that's how ridiculous he throws tea in his face,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's ridiculous,
Then
and
he
it's
just falls
fantastic.
from the windmill, Jason style,
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and
very Michael Myers style.
yeah, it's fantastic. It's a great movie, an underrated gem, and it definitely deserves everybody's attention, including yours. I'm not pointing at you. I'm just pointing at the camera.
I
So,
know. Thanks for that.
just in case you're like, but I've seen
Then
it.
this is how it works. Yeah.
So yeah,
That seems like the perfect place to wrap up.
it does. It does. I mean, like, I don't think we should like score a movie or anything like that. Like my girlfriend's like, when she loves a film, she's like, yeah, it's all right. So like, yeah, it's all right, but
Yeah,
it's
all right.
fantastic. Oh, nah, it's not all right. Like, so that could be the scoring system. Do you know what I mean? It's all right, or
Yeah, it
nah, it's
sounds
not
good
all
to
right.
me. Sounds good.
Yeah.
So for me, that's yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah. So thank you for watching the second episode of Geordie Media. It's been fun. Drop a like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And we've got a Patreon as well. We'll stick that in the link down below somewhere. It'll be down there if you want to get the full unedited video instead of the little mini episodes. Bye.